Hey folks, something got brought up to my attention a couple days ago, well, basically all week, and I'm having trouble with it. I can't reconcile how I'm supposed to feel about the situation. If you know anything about my channel, I've always been kind of pro-consumer. I feel like people should be honest and upfront with what they're going to do, and plans change, and then that's where you got to meet in the middle, and it just... Long story short, recently there's been a game I'd given... I hadn't made a video on it yet, but I'd given some... It's in the big mix of the developers who are kind of doing questionable things. This was one of the developers that they had, an early access game out for a little over 2.5 years, and they had DLC available too. Game wasn't finished, game wasn't out yet, and DLC released. So what happened is this company put out DLC, which I wasn't much on. I didn't buy. I mean, I just felt like they should have finished the game and finished the bugs in it. And then probably about 4 months after that, they just up and one day decided their early access was over. The game was going full blown, and 24 hours the game was $60. You've been able to get it for about 25, 23, not on sale. And that's what I paid for it. And so, like I said, just wake up one day and, oh, by the way, this game's now $60. There's DLC, of course, it's been out for a few months. And, I wasn't really happy about that. And they even talked about the next expansion pack they were going to release and had plans for more than that. And honestly, I just quit following the game. I quit playing it. I could deal with the bugs, but just the fact that they'd gone gold and they still have issues. I mean, to this day, the game still has issues. You can have hours of work and progress wiped away in 3 seconds flat because of bugs. It was one of the open world crafting games, survival games. This one had creatures in it. That was a big part of the game, was like the creatures in the game. I just, I felt that was kind of shady to do, and a lot of us didn't agree with that, especially guys that had gotten it in early access. We'd felt like it needed a lot more polish before you start asking the full $60 for it. Like I said, so I quit playing, I quit following the game, and then my son recently, this last couple of weeks, has shown interest in wanting to play the game. I'm like, well, I do have it. So, we fired it up, we started playing some sessions, and don't get me wrong, it's a fun game, it really is. But he kept, he would see on YouTube, he would see new videos of, the people playing the expansion pack, and I'm like, man, we don't have that. And I can't, for me, I just can't. I can't justify buying an expansion pack. For my son, I could. So I was there looking in the Steam workshop and read some comments, and lo and behold, not the map that the developer released, but a modded map, a player-made map was released. 4 to 5 times the size of the regular map, but it also includes 80 to 90% of the DLC content. And not only is it like, this map, you have to go to a secret website and download it or get a secret seed for, the torrent. This was full blown on the workshop, Steam workshop. Developer knows about it and they're okay with that. They, 2 things. Number 1, they didn't update the SDK so that the modders couldn't put in the brand new stuff just yet. They waited about, I think it was 8 months before they allowed them to update that, where they updated the SDK, and then the modders were able to work from then to get the content into their modded map. And not only is that, like I said, is blazing on the front page of the workshop, Steam Workshop, the developers had put in you can choose the maps to start with in the game. It's pretty much right there in front of your face, and you can download it from there. You don't even have to go to the workshop. You can download it within game. And there's not any other modded maps that are actually tagged like that. So the developer knows about it. The developer is supporting it. They've even given them the mod team assistance. So where do we fit in that? Because for me, as a person who got the game at a pretty good discount, I mean, basically half of the full price, and then for the people that bought the game at full price and then bought the first DLC, I mean, I'm already paying basically a third of that. And then on top of that, the ones that bought the next DLC, and the same thing happened again. They didn't update the SDK for about 8 months and then updated it and helped the mod guys make sure they could include the new creatures and some of the survival mechanics. Now, like I said, granted, the actual map released with each DLC, a handful of the items and a handful of the mechanics are not going to be available in the modded map. But like I said, out of 2 expansion packs, another one coming. Basically, you wait 8 months and you're going to get it. And, a lot of people, and believe me, I can understand the frustration. I would feel frustrated if I bought the game at full price and then bought, 2 expansion packs and then turn around and, well, the guys that bought it early access or on Steam sale or whatever got it for, a fraction of what I paid. I can understand that. And then especially on their forums, there's a lot of people blowing up on their forums. And I want to kind of point out that this developer didn't silence any of that. They didn't censor, there was no censorship. They just basically, they allowed you to say what you felt. As long as you didn't personally attack people, which I thought was, it's the internet, that's going to happen. And people got in discussions. They got to talk about this. And basically, from my understanding and reading, the basic consensus was everyone felt a little jaded from the first expansion pack, but that was kind of the idea. Is they let people know in the second expansion pack, and of course for this third, that you can get it and get the map and get some of the story, but if you don't want to, you can wait and get the modded map and get the content, basically. And so a lot of people were looking at it, well, I get it. Basically, if you get the DLC, you have the content and you can play it, and it's basically it's exclusive for about a year. And then, like I said, there's always going to be the actual map, and then the some of the content will be exclusive for those who bought the DLC. But I mean, the developer didn't have to do that at all, and I was kind of blindsided by that because that didn't make the news. It bothered me a little bit that they didn't make the news, but it didn't make the news, and I didn't know about it. And so, what do you guys think about that? Because that's the problem, is it's pro-consumer for both. Because the pro-consumer thing, there's the basic things that do what they did, allow that content to be modded out, and you didn't have to buy the expansion pack. Now, again, you got to remember, now the other two expansion packs, these are coming out after. One's already come out, one's coming out after the full release of the game. I don't know of another company other than Pterodon that allowed you to experience DLC content for free. And like I said, I feel like people need to kind of be talking about that too. There's companies that will go out of their way to be basically, let's be honest here, they're giving you DLC content a little bit late, but you're getting it for free. And I just feel like, if I want to be pro-consumer about me and very selfish, be like, yes, that's pro-me view, that great, I got this stuff for free. Yeah, ha. And of course people were ragging on these guys. You should have known better than buying DLC you should have known better than getting DLC for early access games. That's your fault. I don't see it like that. And then of course, and if you want to back up the argument all the way back, when the DLC was first announced, there was a lot of guys that had bought the game, when I did, or even before I did, or a little bit after I did, but it was before the gold launch, that they were saying, well, your doors wouldn't be open if it wasn't for us. You wouldn't have a company or a game. You need to give us a DLC for free. And I admit, for like a short little while, I was kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. They wouldn't have any of this if people like us didn't buy. And then at the same time, I'm like, no, because that's not really good for the company. But the biggest issue, that's not pro-consumer to the guys that came late. Because like I said, we already got the game at a really good discount. And if you're looking at the advanced, because don't get me wrong, there's still bugs, but they released a lot of extra content in the base game, not even the DLC. They released a lot more content. They did fix most of the bugs. They did a lot of changes, a lot of updates. And I feel like that kind of ties into, if they'd given it to, if they'd given the DLCs freely to the early customers before the cutoff date, and then of course charge, like I said, full price, and then for DLC after that, I really feel, and I don't know what you guys think about this, but to me, some of these programs, they have these projects have these incentives, these early incentives programs. Basically, and some of them are just downright just advantages. I feel like that really punishes the latecomers, and it's not like all of these people were like, yeah, well, I'm gonna see how this thing turns. I want to see how this project pans out before I throw cash at them, or I don't think that this game is that good to deserve that price tag. I'll wait and get it on sale. There's a lot of people that A, just can't flat out afford it at the time, or B, didn't even know about it. That's the ones I feel like get really punished. That they watch a YouTube video, this guy's like, yeah, here, get this. Of course, they don't happen to notice that the video is probably a year old, and they jump on and, it's not, $25, it's $60. And he was playing the DLC, which is also, at that time was another $20. And that's a big difference. And like I said, I feel like you punish the latecomers if they don't get that. And, especially the items. Cosmetic items, not so much. That bothers some people. But it's the ones that get, measurable advantages that, and this, in some cases pay less. I feel like that kind of, like I said, I feel like you punish the consumer for that, for not knowing about your product. And I feel like that's not really, that's what I'm saying. Like we're kind of in this gray area right now where a developer was doing shady things. I wasn't happy with it. And then now I've come on to it, and I'm honestly, I'm a little pissed off that people weren't talking about that. Why this developer didn't get any, because as far as I'm concerned, for them to allow that on the Steam Workshop and to actually feature the freaking map on the main page of the game, like that's a big issue. People need to be talking about that. Anyway, that's it. That's something that's been kind of bothering me the last couple of days. And I've done a couple takes of this, and I still can't do it justice. But I mean, what do you guys think? You know, the pro consumer thing would be to help the early guys out, but at the same time, you risk alienating the guys that came later. And like I said, you know, you're looking at they've allowed the DLC to come out, and some of the arguments on the forums I was reading is, you know, people were like, you know, I paid for it, I should get it, it should be exclusive, nobody else should have it, but people that bought the DLC. And at the same time, there's people jumping on there. Look, man, you get the map. And you get, you know, this, and this item that you can't get unless you get it. Look at it as getting the content a year early. And he, you know, as this one guy put it, you know, he paid I think it was $22 for it. He's like, basically, I was paying $2 a month to get the content for a year before everybody else. And like you said, on top of that, you still have the exclusive map. You still have some of the mechanics and some of the items that you just don't have, even with the modded map. But tell me what you guys think. I want to know what you feel, because I'm kind of stuck. Because like I said, I feel like, you know, the consumer gets the bad end either way, and then the developer, you know, they not only did they get all of the hurt and anger when the DLC was announced before full release, that now they have to deal with people that paid for it and find out later that they're just going to let somebody else put it out for free. I mean, that's, you know, and like I said, just a real quick gut check, to be honest with you. I have a lot of respect for that developer, because they cared enough about the community and the game and then the people that helped them get to where they were. They decided to let this happen. And like I said, it's not just, you know, it snuck in under the radar. Like, they knew about it. They promoted it, basically. So anyway, y'all have a good one. It's Wednesday. I'll see you around.